Canada is witnessing massive protests. Thousands of protesters rallying against vaccine mandates and COVID-19 restrictions descended upon the capital city of Ottawa. Many of them were seen urinating and even parking at the National War Memorial. One even danced on the tomb of the unknown soldier. Many of these protesters have been carrying flags and pro-Nazi symbols. But why? We'll tell you all. Why are people protesting in Canada? The demonstrations began as a peaceful protest against rules for unvaccinated or partially vaccinated US-Canada cross-border truckers. However, the Ottawa rally descended into violence. Let's rewind a bit. So it all started in November 2021. Canada said that all cross-border essential workers, including truck drivers, will be required to produce proof of vaccination to travel across the border from January 15th. Now, under this mandate, unvaccinated Canadian truckers who enter the country from the US are required to undergo COVID-19 tests and 2 weeks of self-quarantine. Many complied with the rules, but there were some people who decided to raise their voice against this mandate. These people were largely driven by anti-vaccine, anti-mask and anti-lockdown sentiments. After that, a GoFundMe was set up to raise funds for the movement, which was dubbed Freedom Convoy 2022. The project and the page raised more than 10 million Canadian dollars, which was alarming. Although the page then stopped receiving donations and blocked the project on grounds that terms of service were violated. Now coming back to the point. After that, on January 29, protesters organized an Ottawa rally. Hundreds of trucks descended on the national capital as a part of a planned march against the mandates. The protests were supposed to be completely peaceful, but as visuals show, something totally different happened. There were derogatory remarks that were made against the Prime Minister and national monuments were defaced. How did Justin react? Trudeau and his family were moved to an undisclosed location during the protest. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called the Ottawa protesters a fringe minority and said they reflected the proliferation of disinformation and misinformation online, conspiracy theorists about microchips, about God knows what else that goes with the tinfoil hats. And truckers' view, which he described as anti-science, anti-government and anti-society, posed a risk not only to themselves but to other Canadians as well. Prime Minister Trudeau himself is in quarantine after testing COVID positive. However, he refused to roll back COVID-19 mandates or even meet with the protesters. Opposition leader Erin O'Toole has come out in support of the protesters, questioning Prime Minister Trudeau on the vaccine mandates as to why is he not meeting protesters. He himself also has met with criticism. What's the aftermath? In the aftermath of Canada's biggest pandemic protest to date, the demonstrators found very little sympathy from a country where most of them have been vaccinated. In fact, 80% of the population are vaccinated, and many were outraged by the crude behavior of the demonstrators. Organizers, including one who espoused white supremacist views, collected millions of dollars for the so-called Freedom Truck Convoy against vaccine mandates. In fact, it attracted support from the likes of former US President Donald Trump and Tesla billionaire Elon Musk. A smaller but still significant number of protesters remained on the streets, saying they won't leave until all vaccine mandates and other restrictions are gone. They're also calling for the removal of Trudeau's government, though it is responsible for a few of the measures, most of which were put in place by the provincial governments. The outburst was seen as so out of character for Canada that one American scientist felt compelled to apologize for what he portrayed as America's influence. Many of the demonstrators refused to wear masks in hotels, malls and grocery stores. One homeless shelter reported protesters had demanded it feed them. The Canadian Trucking Alliance has now estimated that 85% of truckers in Canada are vaccinated. Now, Mayor Jim Watson has announced a state of emergency as the city centre remained blocked by opponents of anti-COVID measures. Protests, Indian connection. Meanwhile, as the Western country witnessed these protests, Twitter saw an interesting trend, #KarmaStrikes. Many Indian social media users started using this hashtag and tweeting against Prime Minister Trudeau just to get back at him for his support that he had extended during the farmers' protest in India, and started tweeting with the hashtag #KarmaStrikes. This was in response to Justin Trudeau's support to farmer protests in India that lasted for over a year. In December 2020, Trudeau had come out in support of the farmers' protests. India had then termed it ill-informed and unwarranted. Several people called Justin Trudeau a coward. So do you think Canada's anti-vaxxer protest and India's farmers' protest can really be compared? I'll leave you to decide. Do leave your opinions in the comment section.